What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Second Chance live stream. I'm your host, Daryl Stinson. I am a former Division I athlete who went through a dark depression and attempted suicide multiple times. And thank God I had a turnaround experience in the psychiatric unit. And now I'm a two-time TEDx speaker, and I live my life helping others. And I live my life interviewing people who help others. And right here, Mr. Dan Blanchard is one of those people. Guys, you know how this goes. Y'all show my boy Dan some love in the comments. Say, hey, I'm going to formally introduce him in a second, but how you feeling today, Dan?
I'm feeling well, Daryl. Thank you. It's another great day to be alive and another great day to be of service to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. And you are vastly of service, man. Just reading through your bio, and I know we talked before we scheduled the interview, and I know that, man, like you're one of those people that I know we're gonna do some more good together. Like I just know it because we're just both about similar missions and want to help others. And obviously you're a former athlete, so you get that space. You care about education, you care about kids, you care about service. And so we are in alignment, my brother. And I'm excited to interview you to share your story. Guys, I'm gonna read his official bio, but let me just tell you on the front end from my conversation with him thus far, from how much I could find on the internet and stalk him. This is a man of integrity. This is a man who cares about others. This is a man who puts others before himself. And so you're going to learn from him. He's smart. I just learned, and I didn't thoroughly read the bio, that he has 7 degrees. 7 degrees, man. And he said he was terrible in school. So we're going to talk about that in this interview. So do me a favor. Dan has agreed to come on and share his wisdom, his knowledge, his expertise, his story with you for free. So the only thing that we ask for in return is that you share this information with people that you love and care about, because a rising tide raises all ships. We all grow together. So while you hit that share button, while you show some more loves in the comment, tell us where you're tuning in from. I'm going to read his bio, and then I'm going to shut up and let him talk. So Dan Blanchard is the best-selling and award-winning author, speaker, and educator. He's also a TV host. He's a 2-time Junior Olympian Wrestler who cannot beat me in a wrestling match. I'm just kidding. He also is a 2-time Junior Olympian Wrestling Coach who grew up as a student athlete. However, he says that he admits that he was more of an athlete than a student, which we're going to get into that. Now he has 7 degrees. He's on doing some major things in education. I know you guys saw his bio that we posted on our social media, and he's a speaker. Oh, man, he's got a screenplay being written about his life. Wow. I feel like a nobody, man. And so you guys join me in welcoming my friend, my brother, Mr. Dan Blanchard. If I had a horn out, but we can just pretend. So Dan, let people know, man, what was it like for you growing up?
Well, if you don't mind me to backtrack just for a moment here, Daryl, I got to say, I got 5 kids, 4 daughters, and my 2 youngest daughters that are 9 and 12, they're always telling me that they could take me in a wrestling match.
That's good. You shouldn't have it any other way. That means they don't take no stuff, man.
Like, don't you know who I am? I'm the champ. And they go, the old. And my wife laughs and said, you got to stop using that word, the old champ. Well,
yeah.
We have a lot of fun with that. But just real quick, I mean, who I am? I guess I'm just like everybody else, and everybody else who's not spectacular, I would say. I mean, I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, wrong family, wrong neighborhood, wrong community, wrong everything, and everything was going wrong for me. I had tons and tons of reasons to like depressed and feel that life was just useless. But there was something that just caught me early in life about sports. I loved watching like my heroes on TV. Yeah, they were like Superman and stuff like that cartoons. But they were also like, the ball players like Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw. Those kind of guys.
Right.
So if they could be a hero, I figured, well, maybe I could be. But the thing is, like, I started playing football, and I was the smallest kid in the team. Everywhere I've gone in my life, I've always been the tiny kid. The shortest one. When I was in the Army, my drill sergeants called me Pee-wee. My drill sergeants called me Pee-wee because I was the shortest one. And whenever we had to do something, the drill sergeants would yell, Pee-wee, get up here. guys knew that I could kick anybody's butt, so they always call me Popeye. But I mean, my whole life was like that. And I was like the little guy trying to play football. In the beginning, like I was scared because everybody was so much bigger than me. And and I wasn't good. I wasn't like super fast, super athletic, nothing. But, then my brother started lifting weights and I just kind of followed in his footsteps and started lifting weights real hard, because me and my brother felt that our lives were so unfair. And we felt we could take our anger out on the weight set. And, we beat the crap out of those weights like all the time. It's just little boys.
Yeah.
There I was, the only kid in 5th grade with freaking muscles. All the kids used to come over my house before school, like all through middle school, to watch me do a bench press, and then we'd go to school. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how it was. And sports, I think, saved me. Sports gave me something that I could be good at, but I wasn't good at it right away because I didn't have the advantages in life anywhere. Size, strength, speed. There was nothing coming from home that would give me any advantage. So, but I made it. I took like a negative situation. Some people would say, like, were you angry? And I'd say, well, yeah. I was angry, but I funneled that anger of being dealt a poor hand in life into something positive, which was sports. You know what I'm saying? And once I started winning in sports, it started improving and getting better, and being named captain of this or captain of that, and
right.
In ships. It changed everything for me. I was still a dummy in school, but it changed everything for me, or at least to put me on the right road to success and developing successful habits that could be transferred over to other things in life later in life, such as school, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit, and everything I've done since then. What I'm saying? Like college, school, being married. That's not easy. Having kids, being a good father, not easy. Being a good professional. Well, teacher, coach, author, speaker. I mean, nothing out there is easy. But if you have like the success habits from, let's say, one thing, and for me, it was sports back in the day. If you have those success habits, you can transfer those over.
Yep.
Into more detail, as we go through this now.
Yeah.
Transfer those. So I'd say to your audience, if you remember one thing about me, just remember that I was the kid that was a nobody.
Yeah.
That used his anger at being a nobody to get good at one thing, sports. I had no advantages coming from anywhere, but I got good at sports. And then I slowly, maybe too slowly, but slowly learned to transfer those success habits over to areas of my life.
Yeah. Hannah, thank you so much. Hannah, I see Hannah's tuning in. I see Stacy's tuning in. Hannah says, I pretty much love every interview that Daryl does. He's the best. Oh, that makes me blush. Well, it's not about Daryl today. It's about Dan today. And it's about you, our listeners. We want to add value to your life. Man, I want to talk about athlete transition, but before we get there, it's time for me to do the Daryl. Do you know what that is? Doing the Daryl is when I get this hunch, this inclination that I should ask a specific question or take this in a different direction. And so this was not in our pre-interview notes. So let's just roll with and have some fun, man. Cool. Answer this question for me. And let me frame it for you. A lot of people that grow up in bad neighborhoods like you and I, and maybe not the best upbringing, there's usually one or two things that were really traumatic, for lack of a better word. I'll give you one for me. My family didn't have, they didn't. My dad's house, we didn't have a formal dining room. So we didn't sit down at 6 p.m. every day and eat family dinner. It wasn't something that I was accustomed to. We would come in, we would stand, me and my cousin who lived with me, and we would just cook our food and stand up and eat. And that was dinner for us, just eat when you're hungry. When I got married, my wife came from a former, formal dining and that type of environment. And I remember one time she made a beautiful dinner, man, just everything, the whole 9 yards. She got it all set up and all this stuff. And I went in the kitchen, I just ate it. So she came and she sat down and she's like, what are you gonna eat? I was like, I already ate. This was pretty good. And she was so hurt by that.
Wow.
And that's why I learned, like, man, that's not okay. Like, you should sit down and have family dinner, and I can talk about poverty mindset. What would you say that one thing was for you that really was such a bad belief was so traumatic growing up that you carried and you didn't recognize until you were an adult. That man, that was challenging for me, but I overcame it. What would you say that one thing is for you?
Wow. I got a few things, that are going on that I could talk about. Just your story reminded me when I was, gosh, I don't know, maybe a second, third, fourth year teacher. I was at the end of the year party and they had like the shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I still didn't know better. You know what I'm saying? So I grabbed one of the shrimp, dipped it in the cocktail sauce, ate it, and put the shell back on the platter.
Yeah.
And my principal was right there, and she looked at me and she went oh, what are you doing? And I felt like such an idiot. She's like, that's disgusting. And she was my principal. I felt like such an idiot. And I'm like, man, I don't know much, do I? You know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man. I'm a teacher. I'm teaching kids. I'm coaching kids. And I'm like, and there's still so much that I still got so many gaps, in my education. You could say real world education even, as well as like, formal and academic, but it's so many gaps. Another thing that stuck with me and still does stick with me, I could do two more things, is that belief that I'm still that kid who is a nobody, who's not good at anything, who the universe is conspiring against me to punish me because I deserve to be punished because I'm a bad boy, a little boy. And I'll explain that in a minute. So I've always had that, that I must be doing something wrong. And if I'm not doing something wrong, then something bad's coming my way. And I can't see what it is. I don't know what it is, but I know it's coming. Bad's coming my way because I'm just not good enough. I'm not serving enough of a regular, successful, happy person's life. And, and I look around and everywhere I go, people are like, dude, you're so successful.
Right.
Like they say crazy stuff like you're so smart. And I'm like, whoa, I mean,
what?
I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And all this stuff. People say you're such a great writer. I'm like, I'm terrible at writing. And people are like, oh my God, like you're a good speaker. I was like, I was never supposed to talk. I mean, I was born deaf and mute. I was never supposed to talk.
Were you really?
Yeah. And
dude, what? How'd you just skip over that in the introduction?
Yeah, I don't bring that up too much, but I was born deaf and mute, and all the experts, by the time my parents brought me to the doctors and told the doctors something was wrong, then my son's making just animal noises. All the experts told my mom, I'm sorry, we'll give him an operation, fix his ears, his hearing, but he'll never speak. And now I give keynote speeches at national conferences, and a lot of people say this guy never shuts up. But the thing, that whole mindset, that whole trauma-based existence, growing up, it's still with me. I still have to fight it every single day when I look in the mirror and be like, man, you're like a loser. You know what I'm saying? But when you believe you're a loser, like you don't do some things that you should be doing that would make the world a better place. So you have to get beyond that. And most of the time I do. And it's not because I'm not afraid. I'm terribly afraid, but I'm terribly afraid to do like nothing. Because if I do nothing, then it's affirmed. I'm a loser. So I'm afraid not to like get up on that stage. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm afraid not to write my next book because it's be affirmed that I'm a loser. Now, comes from, I mean, me and my brother, my older brother, God bless him. He's gone now. So my little brother, so is my mom. Well, now, but we grew up in a very, very violent household. In poverty, in the north end of Hartford. Anybody knows anything about Hartford? We were the only white family there. So every day people wanted to beat us up, me and my brother up, because we were like, the two little white boys of the neighborhood. And they didn't call us white. They called us other names that you could imagine. But when we went back into the house, where we were supposed to be safe, my dad had, he was dealing with his own mental health issues. And he heavily self-medicated with alcohol. And he was a very, very violent former Marine, hard hitting, hard drinking Marine. And he would freaking beat me and my brother and my mom up all the time. And me and my brother, part of the reason we were lifting weights was to save our family. There was that drive that nobody was going to stop. My father, the police would come sometimes 3 times a night and say to my dad, is everything okay? My dad would say, yep, everything's fine. The police would leave. As soon as they'd leave, the beatings would start again. So like me and my brother lifted weights like madmen. And we were just little teeny boys. And we're lifting weights like crazy, trying to save our family.
Wow.
And that drove us into being very athletic and becoming good sports players where everything else went. But still, like I said, I mean, anytime you grow up in a trauma-based environment, it's going to stick with you for a long time. And it's not like it just goes away because you write a book or it goes away because you jump up on a stage.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
It's always there. You know, and like sometimes I look at my wife and my wife says something and that trauma-induced jumps in and takes over. And I think my wife is being like mean to me because she must be being mean to me because I must deserve it, because I'm unworthy. But then my wife would be like, no, that's not what I meant.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, oh, that's not what you meant. And I'll be like,
you're viewing her behavior through the lens of your past experience, not as it really is. Yeah.
And occasionally I still do dumb things like grab a piece of shrimp, eat it, go back. And then I look at myself, I go, man, that was dumb. Why did I do that? You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah. No, I get it, man. Like, dude, I'm over here floored right now. I mean, so powerful. And so what are, like, I mean, as a speaker, what are some of your key messages that you like to speak about?
Well, I love to talk about work ethic, and the mindset of effort. I mean, everything's effort. Teddy Roosevelt said all Americans should live a strenuous life. And that's pretty much what I did. I strained the heck out of myself with the weights. And, I got really good and really athletic and fast and strong and everything and became really good at that. And then I started looking, it was all through effort. It wasn't because I was tall. I wasn't taller than anybody. I was bigger. I was a 2-time Junior Olympian wrestling at 145 pounds, played on a state championship football team in high school at 145 pounds. Everybody in the line was like 250.
Right.
At 140. So I wasn't bigger, heavier, nothing. I started getting stronger than everybody, but it all became, due to effort. And then everything else in my life, saying like reading became, I was a terrible reader, but I've read over 1,000 books. Writing, terrible writer, but lots and lots of effort. I've written like 30 books. To speak, terrible speaker. But with lots and lots of effort, I've given, I don't know, more speeches than I can remember. So I mean, everything effort. Being married and being a good husband is effort. There's a lot of effort involved there. Being a good dad. I got 5 kids at home. Don't think that's a full-time job and some, Or, you can take the easy way out and just freaking ignore your kids. But good men don't do that. Effort. So pretty much I speak a lot about just believing in yourself, believing in the effort, and believing in every time that you fail, you learn something. Not what happens to you, but how do you respond to it? So you got to pick yourself back up and learn something. Like, believe it or not, like when I wrote my first book, I wrote that thing like 6 times. I've republished it and I was just working on it again last night. And that's book 1. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why do I have to do things 2, 3, 4, 5 times when everybody else does things like once or twice? But here's the bottom line. You look at people's resumes that do everything once or twice. I bet you my resume is longer and more exciting, even though I've done everything 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Because I've done things 3, 4, 5, 6 times. It's made it possible for me to accomplish it and to finish it. Whereas some people may just do something like once or twice and just walk away.
Yeah, it's that grit, man. And the question is, like, what motivates you? What drives you?
Yeah, in the old days, it was anger. It is what drove me and my brother because of the life we were living out was just so unfair. Little boys. So it was anger. And then after it became like a thing of like success. And now I think it's like a combination of things that drives me. It gets me out of the bed really early every morning. It makes me go nonstop all day long. One, like I've seen what's possible, from what I can do through effort, not because I'm talented, but what I can do through effort. And for me to accomplish these things, I got to get up earlier than other people, work harder than other people, and longer than other people. Right. So the success that I've had, the differences that I make, something like I get people emailing me from all over the world saying, I read your blog or I read your book or I saw you on a YouTube or, I saw a speech of yours. That you really spoke to me, something that you said. So, my own successes, the fact that I'm making a difference in other places and for other people, throughout the world, that drives me. And then, of course, there's always that fear.
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like what's that? You're only as good as your last book or your last speech or your last anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything that I've done so far, I mean, that's in the past. I mean, where am I going to go now? So there's two things driving me now. One is the fear of sliding backwards down that slippery slope and being a nobody again. You know what I'm saying? Who doesn't do anything to make the world a better place? And I always believe in service leadership, inspirational. You inspire others, inspirational leadership. You inspire others through your own actions, and then you give them every single bit of encouragement to come on and catch up with you and be with you on life's amazing journeys. So you got to make sure that you're doing these things. So I'm always afraid that I'm going to slide backwards and not do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And then the second thing is, with the bigger, grander vision, every time you get like to a higher place in life, you have a better view of what's possible. Like when I wrote my first book, I didn't know that I could write like 30 books and have all sorts of series. You know what I'm saying? When I was a guest on my first podcast, I didn't know that someday somebody would not only continually just ask me to be on podcasts and interview me on TV and radio and all that stuff, but I didn't know that I could have my own like TV show. Somebody say, "Hey, dude, I freaking love what you do, and we want you to, be our TV show guy." I didn't know that was possible. But as I climbed up, every time you climb up, every time you accomplish something through effort, I'm not saying talent, through effort, you get a better view of what's out there. And not only do you get a better view, but lots of times other people get a better view of you. And sometimes they come to you. Many times they'll come to you and say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Can we have a cup of coffee or something?" And they'll talk to you. And who knows what doors open when you collaborate with people. I mean, I've had so many cups of coffee with people I've never met before the cup of coffee. And who knows what doors open there.
You just never know, man. You never know who someone is. I've been addicted to this app called Clubhouse. Have you heard about it? Yeah, it's another social media app, and it's like a audio only chat room, and you get to talk to people about interests and things like that. And it's extremely addicting. It's invitation only right now. You can sign up for a profile if you get an iPhone. And if one of your friends has access to the community, they can let you in, or someone has to personally invite you right now because it's still in beta phase. But dude, I'm connecting with people all over the world, and I'm learning a ton. It's like I can't stop listening to it, man. And my wife is like, "Stop," And anyways, man, talk about this. Talk about the screenplay. And I know you said it's in the works, and we did discuss this a little bit personally, but man, how did that happen?
Well, it's interesting. We life is funny how these things happen.
Yeah, I know.
My first book, The Storm, How Young Men Become Good Men, I eventually hooked up with this guy, and he actually wrote a screenplay for it, The Storm, and it didn't really go anywhere. I mean, I got the screenplay. I don't know enough in that world yet. Don't have enough connections in that world yet for that movie. And he made it kind of interesting. He did like a whole World War II theme around it. And it was pretty cool, but it kind of hasn't gone anywhere. Now, many, many years have gone by. I'd say maybe like a decade. And I'm an educator. And in the educational world, there's the educator who's a school superintendent that's not too far from where I live. He's been in school administrator, means principal, like assistant principal or up, for 50 years, right? So 50 years. And he's got a very talented son that's had some stuff on Broadway, right? So he was trying to put me in touch with his son so we could collaborate on something. And our first thing didn't work out. His son was going to be he was going to narrate one of my books. But it just didn't work out, and that was fine. I mean, the son didn't like the whole platform, wasn't really his thing. So then his father was like, "Well, then you guys should work on something else." And he goes, "Why don't you guys do like a screenplay together?" So I showed him my book, The Storm. He read it. He was like, "This book is cool." He's like, "Yeah, let's do a screenplay on it." And I'm thinking, well, I already have a screenplay on it, but whatever. Maybe he'll give me a better screenplay, better connections.
All right.
And that would be the way to go, right? So he starts, and he's maybe about a week into the screenplay, and he's constantly asking me questions, and we're going back and forth on stuff. And then he just stops. He says, "Hey, Dan," he goes, "I don't want to do this anymore." And I go, "Oh, uh, all right, whatever, that's fine. You don't have to do it anymore. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, because your story is more interesting. And he goes, I want to do it on your story. And I'm like, my story? He goes, yeah, Dad. He goes, the real story about you. And all I can think of is in my head for like over a decade, my wife has been telling me, you got to write your memoir. Your memoir would just blow the minds of people and help so many people that have been down and out and living like really difficult lives. And for 10 years, I've been telling my wife, no, I'm like, I'm scared. Go down that road. I don't want to like turn those rocks over. You know, one thing to do it with a fictional character, turn a rock over, kick a rock here and there. But to turn all the rocks over, you know, I was like, I don't want to do that. And now here was the screenwriter saying that he wants to do that. And I don't know if the timing was right or what it was, or that it just felt safer, because I'm sure the movie, you know, if it ever does make it to like a finished, complete screenplay, a play, a movie, like I'm sure it won't be called Dan Blanchard. You know what I'm saying? you know what I'm saying? I don't know what it will be called, but it'll probably be called something else. And he already came up with something like hiding from something. I forget what it was. But to me, that just felt safer. You know what I'm saying? But now that he's doing this, and we're kicking these rocks over and turning these rocks over and having these painful conversations, I'm really starting to see the value, although it's painful. You know, there are tight days I'm driving home, gripping my steering wheel, just going, man, what the heck? You know, and it takes me a while to decompress. But when this is done, and he said it was like a 2-year project. When this is done, I think I'm going to have the material and the courage for that memoir.
Yeah.
And my wife was wiser than I am. You know, she'll probably give me a big smile on that day and say, see, I told you.
Yeah.
Told you. You know?
Wow. Well, I can't wait to read the memoir. I'm interested, you know, you teach special education and social studies in Connecticut's largest inner city high school. And I'm curious to know, you know, what's that like on a weekly basis? You know, what are some of the challenges of that? And just share a little bit about that period of your life. And then after that, we're going to move into this time as a double veteran.
Oh,
wow, the Army and the Air Force. So let's talk about the inner city high school students and, you know, your experience there.
well, I got to tell you, there's never a dull day. Never.
It's an adventure.
You know, saying Daryl,
Yeah.
I've been working there since '96. And so about 25 years almost, I've been working there, and there's never a dull day. I mean, inner city, you know, sometimes I still don't know how I got there. I think it was the universe's plan. My brother was a really, really troubled kid. And the universe put me in a place where I could help kids like my brother. I mean, I had my path was better than my brother's, and my path continued to be better than my brother's, who's now gone. You know what I'm saying? So here I am as a special ed teacher working with troubled kids in the inner city, and not just the troubled kids, or not just, you know, a lot of kids in the inner city are troubled. They're different than, let's say, the town my kids are growing up in. But I also do, you know, the behavioral problem ones, the real discipline challenges. Those are the ones I work with. You know, they have had so much trauma in their lives. They get so many issues that they're dealing with. I mean, it's so sad. You know, every now and then I do think about my brother and how he must have felt like nobody loved him, nobody cared for him. You know what I'm saying? And then when he went to school, if the teachers were in his face, giving him a hard time, you know, I picture that. And here I am. You know, I'm the guy in school that's cracking a joke with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make you smile.
Yeah, just loving on people, man. That's what you call it, making people feel worthy. You know, because that's what you wanted when you were a kid, was just to feel that way and feel like people cared and somebody would fight for you and protect you and do life alongside you. So now you're being the help that you wish you would have had. And I think that's what motivates you. I think that's what drives you. I think that what makes you unique, man, is that you don't want anybody to grow up like you grew up. You don't want anybody to have to experience some of the challenges you experience. Not that life will be easy and sugar free, but that they'll have someone on their side. And man, that inspires me, man. And I'm curious to know about your time as a double veteran in the Army and the Air Force. I mean, like, how did you even get into the Army and the Air Force, and how long were you there? To tell us a little bit about that phase of life.
Yeah, life is funny. I mean, sometimes things just happen, and it's crazy. I remember I'm in high school. I'm a senior in high school. We just won the state championship football game. It was cool. I'm already a returning state champ wrestler, a junior Olympian wrestler, returning junior. Like I said, we just won the state championship football game, and I'm getting ready to start wrestling season for, I'm going to win another state championship wrestling there. And then just out of nowhere, this recruiter, I don't even, maybe I was walking through the library or something, and this recruiter just stopped me, you know what I'm saying? And he was just like, hey, come here. I started talking to him, and he's like, what are you doing after high school? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to college, but I'm not that smart. I'm going to have trouble getting in to colleges.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might have to go to a community college maybe if they'll take me. I wasn't too excited. Kind of felt like high school extended, although now I know better. But back
right.
I didn't know better. Like high school extended, which it's not.
Yeah.
Then he goes, well, why don't you let us pay for your college? And I knew, there was no help coming from my parents. My dad, he wouldn't even give us his tax records so that we could apply for financial aid. He refused. So we couldn't even get financial aid to go.
Wow.
I'm saying, so not only were we not getting a penny from home,
Yeah.
we didn't even get a penny of financial aid because my dad would never show. He wouldn't do it. He would never show his tax papers. It was crazy. So I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. I just knew I was a good wrestler and a good football player. And this guy just started talking all about the Army. And I was like, all right. And I said, well, I heard electronics, computer stuff is going to be important in the future. And he goes, you're going to learn that stuff in college.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, you want to be an infantryman. And I was like, oh, really? What's that? And he goes, you're going to rappel down mountains and jump out of airplanes and swamps and he did. You're going to ski down mountains with a weapon. And he painted this picture.
You thought you was going to be the next G.I. Joe?
And he goes, college paid for, and then you can go do all that other stuff, the computers, electronics, whatever you want to do. It's be important. And I was like, what do I sign? So I signed up, and I became an infantryman the summer after high school, 11B Bravo. And I got to tell you, there were times I was like, dang, man, my recruiter lied to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But every time, I think this is true with anything. Now, when you're in the middle of something, it always seems worse than it really is.
Yes.
And yeah.
That's fire, man. That's fire. Keep talking about it. It does. It always seems worse. When you're in the fire, it seems like you'll never get out the fire.
Yeah. And when you look back at it, you'll go, you know what? That wasn't too bad. Glad I did it. I was the Army push-up champ for 6 years, undefeated. Nobody ever beat me. You know what I'm saying? And so then I went to the Air Force, did the same. So I have so many good memories. Believe it or not, sleeping in foxholes. At the time it was raining or snowing on me, and I'm sitting in mud over my ankles, cold shiver. It was terrible. But then I looked like, that was kind of neat. You know what I'm saying? Sleeping in the woods, raining on my face. Being in swamps.
Wow.
Water up to my chest, carrying my weapon above my head. I look back, the rappelling, jumping out of planes, helicopters, rappelling down buildings. I look back at all the stuff I did, and I'm like, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But again, when you're in the middle of it, it's not as pleasant when you're in the middle of it. But I wouldn't trade those experiences. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm a better man because of that. I went through that tough stuff. And I got to tell you, when I got home, I fully appreciated my mother. more than ever, I appreciated, was grateful to have a bed to sleep in. You know, I was grateful to be able to eat my 3 meals a day and eat them at a slow pace. Although I still eat too fast, my wife would tell you. but I had the option. I had the option of eating slow. You know what I'm saying? And enjoying my food. You know, I came home so grateful for so many things because I went through that hardship and so many things that I didn't know. I didn't know that I was lucky to have a bed. Who would think that they were lucky just to have a bed? But when I got home, I looked at my bed and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I got a bed. It's so cool, you know, that I got a bed. You know what I'm saying? And then at this point, I mean, I'm out of the military. I'm out of the Army for probably about a year or so. And kind of hanging out, you know, with my friends, and my circle's getting wider as I'm meeting friends of my friends and this and that. And then friends of my friends, one of them's in the Air Force. And he was like, Dan, he goes, why don't you come back and come into the Air Force? And I said, you know, I always thought the Air Force would be kind of cool to check that out. So after about maybe, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, he was just like, come with me this weekend. I'll bring you down to the recruiter.
Dude,
and,
what? Just come, just leave.
Yes, I went down, met a recruiter. And of course, you know, he told me the same fantastic stories about the Air Force. And there I was in the Air Force, doing the Air Force sort of thing. I was the Air Force push-up champ. But I got to tell you, this all comes full circle because it's so cool. Because I end up later on as a history teacher. And I love teaching about World War II. And World War II, our Air Force was not our Air Force. Our Air Force was under the Army. So it was the Army Air Force in World War II. And I was a double veteran of the Army Air Force as a history teacher, teaching about the Army Air Force. And I totally talk about it. And then in my book, The Storm, I write a whole thing about how Granddaddy was a pilot in the Army Air Force. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's just all these things, you know, you don't know the significance of it when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But down the road, visit things done, things you've gone through, things you've learned, and they resubmerge down the road, and you use them in interesting ways. You know what I'm saying? So very cool. And I was by the way, I'm push-up champ of the Army and Air Force. You know? So yeah, just great stories. And I would say any young men that are out there that are not sure what to do, if they don't have a burning desire to go to college, because I got to tell you, if I went to college at 18, I probably would have continued getting the same C's that I was getting in high school.
Why you say that?
Because I just wasn't ready. I only knew how to win in sports. But when I was in the Army, I took my same work ethic from sports and put it toward the Army and became Soldier of the Year finalist. You know what I'm saying? And so then when I went to the Air Force, you know, same sort of thing. When I went to college, same thing. Now I had a track record, a proven track record that I could be successful in sports and then do the same sort of things and become successful in the military, and then do the same sort of things. And maybe I could become successful in school where I've never been successful. And by the way, I started at Manchester Community College and loved it. First semester, Dean's List, straight A's.
Wow.
Semester, Dean's List, straight A's. And I went through my college, Dean's List, A's, a B here. And I got to tell you, my 14 years of college and 7 degrees, my 7th degree was another master's. By the way, my 5th degree was my doctorate's equivalent. So then my 6th degree, my 7th degree, another master's in educational leadership, where I got a 3.96. And the only reason I didn't have a 4.0 was because I took Halloween night off from class to take my kids trick-or-treating. If I didn't take that night off, I would have had straight A's, a 4.0 is what I'm taking my kids trick-or-treating was more important. That priority is. So there I was. I mean, I was ready. At 18, I wasn't. But after going to the military and proving to myself that I could be successful, I got that burning desire, and was pretty much dean's list, all A's, occasional B's, all the way through. And there I was saying, wait a minute, weren't you the dummy in high school? The kid that's got all C's, just enough to play sports?
Wow.
The one that used to rub her neck and kind of look at the girl's papers next to mine when I
Wow.
was in a quiz.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But I got to tell you, I mean, I got to tell you, this may sound crazy, but I'm going to tell you, and this is the God's honest truth. 14 years of college, 7 degrees, 30 books written. Most of them have been bestseller, Amazon bestsellers multiple times. Ask me if I'm really smart. No. But I'm willing to like work hard at something. If I need to do something, I'm willing to read a whole bunch on it.
Yeah.
I can learn something and then go do it. I'm willing to try to ask people, what do you do? And then they tell me it's not because I'm smart. And they, you got to do it this way or do it that way. Don't do this. I made that mistake. And then I go and do something. And next thing you know, I'm a keynote speaker, or the book, or I get a TV show, or whatever. It's not because I'm smart. It's not because I'm talented. It's all about the effort. The same, it goes all the way back to sports. I was the smallest kid, the slow kid, the unathletic kid, and I changed all that through effort.
Wow. That's powerful, man. Dude, I just looked up and I'm like, it's 41 minutes. Holy cow. Time is flying talking to you, man. I don't even feel like we scratched the surface, man.
No, we didn't. We got so much.
You've got so much life experience and so much wisdom, man. I mean, that's why you got 30 books. That's why you got the screenplay, man. There's just so much, but we got to land the plane because here's what I know, that there's going to be people scrolling because they know I do live streams often, and they're going to see 45, 60 minutes, and they're going to go, no, and they're going to miss the gold that you're sharing. And I want them to go, you know what, I can bite this off in chunks. So by the way, if you're listening, you're watching by this replay, just want to let you know, just hit that share button, share with other people. I always say, click, share, don't be selfish. Dan, I want to kind of land the plane, and I want to know, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be, when I'm being put in the ground, I want a lot of people to be there, and I want them all to be saying, now that guy, Dan Blanchard, he was a good man. That's what I want. I want to be known as a good man. And that comes from helping others. Making the world a better place for a lot of people, not just myself. Saying a good man, they do things that are difficult, like make the relationship with their wife, make their wife feel valued, make their kids feel valued, make their kids have a work ethic, and make their kids feel like they too can make the world a better place. As a teacher, as a coach, as a speaker, I'm doing all that just for different populations, different audiences, but I want people to walk away and to say, that was a good man. Damn, a good man.
Wow, man. Dude, I'm floored right now. You are a good man. You are a great man, and a great father, and a great husband, and a great mentor, and a great guest.
Thanks.
And thank you for your time today. If someone's like, man, I love that guy and I want to connect with him, how can they connect with you?
Oh, real easy. I'm all over. So just Google Dan Blanchard, author or whatever, speaker. Check me out at danblanchard.net, granddaddy6.com. Check out my books on Amazon. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, Pinterest. I'm everywhere. Valley TV show. You'll have no trouble finding me. And when you reach out to me, whether it's an email or whatever it is, I will take the time to get back to you.
Wow, dude, you're a beast, and I'm fascinated. I'm in awe of your story. I can't wait to read the memoir. I can't wait to watch the movie that's going to be made one day. you're a survivor, man. And there's so many people right now, especially because of the pandemic and how it affected people last year and how it's still continuing to wear and tear on our community, on our world, that need to know that no matter how bad it seems, you can still get up. I think it's Les Brown that says, "Hey, if you fall down, make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up." And man, you're one of those stories that help people to land on their backs, to look up so they can get up. So thank you so much for your transparency, your vulnerability, your expertise, man. This has been phenomenal. I'm so honored to have you today. One last thing that you want to leave the audience with.
Be a survivor. And if you do it long enough, before you know it, you'll be a thriver. Survivor.
Wow.
I can do it. The shortest, slowest kid out there, you can do it too.
Wow. Wow, you guys show Dan some love in the comments. If you appreciate this, I don't care if you're watching this replay later. I want you to just say, thanks, Dan. This was amazing. Drop one of your takeaways. Just shower him with love in the comments and make sure you click that share button. Share with other people. Man, if you want to connect with me, I want you to join my text community. Text the word hello to 770-407-5177. The numbers that displayed on your screen. You can text me anything. It'll come directly to my phone. I want you to join my text community. You'll learn about my latest offers. You'll learn about, you'll get little voice memos from me. Like sometimes I send these voice memos to my text community, just encouraging them, just that they can do it, that today's going to be a good day. And we set that intention. And if you want that type of motivation, that encouragement, that support, that mentorship in your life, hit me up on text, man. I'd love to just connect with you that way. It's more personal than my email list and my opt-ins and all that stuff. You can get all that too, but I really want to focus on this text community in 2021 because I've just been loving it. I love seeing people's messages and being two-way communication, and it comes right to my phone, so I check it more than I check my email. I'm not like Dan. He's way more disciplined than me. So go ahead and join my text community. And guys, thank you so much for joining the show. We've got some amazing guests lined up. You guys just don't understand. 2021, like you thought the guests from last year were fire. 2021, I'm bringing some of the best in the world right here to this show. So remember, pause this video or after it ends and choose one thing that you're going to take action, because information without application equals zero transformation. And we don't want that for you. We want your life to move forward. So till next time, we love you. Thanks for joining me again, Dan. You were amazing. Peace.